Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we're surrounded by all idea for going away, but we did promise you we would bring you Weymouth before we went off to Hermanfest. Weymouth is a place full of character and full of characters, as you would have just seen on the little intro, and you'll see more going forward. It's also full of history, and in fact it used to be known as Melcombe Regis before 1748. Strange actually that the name Regis, which is royal, was dropped because in 1780s and 90s King George III used it as his holiday place, and it's full of Georgian buildings along the seafront. Apparently he said the air did something for his madness. I'm not sure people would agree. But anyway, Weymouth. Let's take you around the streets. We're staying mostly on the north side, well, entirely on the north side of the river, although we do show you across to the south. Maybe that's for another time. But it is a really lively, colourful place. So come with us and enjoy, and we will be back shortly to tell you what we're doing next. This is the large car park by the theatre in Weymouth. You'll see there's a row of motorhomes there. This is one of the few places you can actually park a motorhome. We've done it a few times, and although our motorhome is actually larger than they say, it does just fit into the space, and we've never been pulled up for doing it. That's not to say it's the right thing. I'll just show you what it says on the machine, because that tells you what you are and you aren't allowed to do. So according to this, you ought to be less than 6 meters long. But as I say, we've never been pulled up. All of the tariff is there. And to be honest, looking at the motorhomes, one is, the other two are definitely bigger than 6 meters. But it's very convenient because from here you can just stroll into town, and you can see we're right on the pier and looking across the bay. Looking back up the main street, the same main street. It's very busy. When it comes to mobility scooters, Weymouth is almost as bad as Benidorm. People hire them, as you can see they're lined up out the shop here, and then proceed to run you over with them. This street always has flags on it. It's nothing to do with the coronation. It's always this way and always looks pretty. No idea why none of the others don't seem to follow suit. We're walking down I would say the second main shopping street in Weymouth, heading towards the town quay. The river comes right into the town. We've spent many happy hours sitting on our boat alongside the quay. Looking along the quay, see the yacht going backwards, either looking for a berth or just hanging around before the lifting bridge opens. Looking across now towards Brewers Quay, which is exactly what, or was exactly what it says on the tin, but these days it's like an antique flea market, and there's bars and restaurants. It's quite a pleasant little area actually. All manner of fishing boats here, and boats that do various trips. Further along is the private leisure moorings, which we used to stay on for time and time again. Slightly closer up view of one of the fishing boats. Not the cleanest working environment in the world, but it is actually pretty organised. None of them seem to be out today, but it's quite breezy, so that may well be the reason why. Looking up at the Rendezvous and the Royal Oak pub, which is underneath it, and the Anchor Bar. This turns variously from a family venue through to a late night nightclub. Fairly unique to Weymouth, and it's right by where the lifting bridge goes, and you can drive underneath there, and in fact we're probably going to walk that way because that takes us back to the multi-storey car park that we've parked in. But not before I have a close look at the lifting bridge. Things do change here in Weymouth. When we first used to come here, kids would quite regularly dive off those towers into the river. These days we're all so wokey that it's not allowed. I guess it probably wasn't then, but it was tolerated. And tolerated with a sense of humour. Looking back here, we're looking at the lifting bridge, which opens a number of times a day, depending on what season it is. Obviously far less in the winter, although commercial vehicles still need to get through, vessels I should say. following it round along the quay. You'll see the fishing vessels, and there are also a number of trip vessels, and Dalla taking a photo. This is where the Black Death came ashore, and as you can see, it's now the site of much more pleasant activities. Well, thanks for watching. You can see we're well stocked up for our trip, so we'll catch you at Hermanfest. Just 2 days to go now before we jump on the ferry. So please don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up if you like. Of course, if you do, it all helps. Cheers.